Hello, my name's Harriton Botco. We're back. The topic is what's next for the Ang Kapatiran Party and the pro-life party list. With us, we have the first convener, the first nominee, Attorney James Imbong of pro-life, and we have the Secretary General of Ang Kapatiran Party, of which I ran in the elections under. Alam mo, darating na yung barangay. Wala tayong papel dyan, ano? Kasi hindi naman PICOS yan. Dapat walang political leanings na mga yan. Di ba political party? Di ba separate yan, kanya-kanya eh.
Non-partisan.
Non-party. Yeah. Pero, come on, let's face it, that's not the truth. Because the barangays are the source of getting the people, they're the closest to the grassroots that report to the mayors. Di ba? On the local government. They're right under. Then you have the councilors and you have the mayors. Without the support of the barangays, these mayors would not have really won. Sila nagdadala. Kung meron man hakot system, sa kanila magdadaan. Kung meron man lagayan, bigayan ng vote, buying, pasahan ng pera or goods, whatever, sa kanila rin manggagaling yan. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're the ones who will also, they also have problems with dynasties. You've got barangay leaders who've been there for 30, 40 years, or their families have sat there all the same. Meron din nakawan dyan, malaki din ang pondo dyan. I was surprised how much we give out close to 60 billion pesos on the local government just for the barangay level. I mean, ang laking pera din na rin pala dyan, plus nakagawad. So, wala tayong role, being a national political party, AKP.
Yes. We cannot have what do you call this? An open role, no? An open role. But if I believe if I'm not mistaken, in 2007, in my own barangay in Nueva Ecija, I helped form together a team, no, to run for barangay positions, no. But basically, nowhere will you find there the name of Kapatiran. All I did, no, was just to look for well-meaning people and complete the slate to run for a barangay.
The role of the barangay and the church. What is the role of the church with the barangay come this barangay election? Will the church guide again, or will the church step aside and say, well, this is what we should do, but they're not going to say, dapat ito yung barangay captain, dapat ito. I mean, is the church going to help shield the monsters from those who will do good for the people?
Unlike in national elections, I think generally elections in barangay would be more manageable in the sense that generally people in the same community would know the kind of person who will be running, no? That's my
It's very personable, you mean?
Yeah.
Kasi may face value, magkakakilala.
They would be familiar, no? Except, of course, for big barangays, like maybe in big cities, like in Quezon City, where...
Sa amin, malalaki mga barangay. We only have 9 in the whole, out of 360,000 registered voters supposed to be.
But again, I think... our barangay elections in reality are already highly politicized, and more often than not, the one being supported by the mayor would be the one who will likely win the elections, unless of course the person is very, very well known to the community as a corrupt person.
Aren't they all corrupt?
I
don't mean to be cynical, which I am really, but aren't they mostly all corrupt? If they weren't corrupt, we wouldn't have the marginalized poor. I mean, how many dollars do we bring in? I mean, right now, hindi naman pobre Pilipinas, ninanakaw lang naman lahat ng pera ng Pilipinas, ng mga politicians. We all know this is what we went out saying to everybody. We're not a poor country. The people are made poor because the leaders are the ones who have 30 cars, 40 cars, who want to buy yachts, who who want to buy everything. It's absurd. It's insatiable appetites.
Maybe corruption would be most prevalent in cities or municipalities that have high internal revenue allocation. No? But generally, if you look at the Philippines as a whole, no, maybe in small cities or in small municipalities where the era is small, really there's nothing really
To fight for.
much to
Do you have a role for the barangay on the party list of pro-life?
In the previous, in this first election, no, our contact with barangay level politics revolve around itong RH law because you have health practitioners in the barangay level. So for now, that is the connection between them.
That's
but
true.
in the future, no, forward looking to the barangay elections, no, that thought came into mind because as we all know, Harry, no, the barangay, there's something special about the barangay system because dito po yung may direct contact ang tao. Pag may nag-aaway,
Sila
dun
yun eh.
sa yung barangay. Pagka may baha,
Barangay.
pagka may barangay. So if you look at it, the barangay elections is actually, baliktad hindi national barangay. Itong barangay elections should actually determine how the 2016 will come out. Kasi yung pipiliin natin na leader sa barangay, dito tayo maglalabas ng mga reklamo, yung mga needs natin, na we bring to 2016. Ang problema, baliktad So, itong barangay official, suportado yan nung nanalong mayor.
Mayor.
So, ang nangyari, paatras.
Dapat pabaliktad
Pabaliktad, no? So, with regard to at least the party list, which is very strictly issues-based, it would be very easy to take a dip into the barangay elections, not as a partisan sort of thing, no? But as you asked, no, what is the role of the church? No?
The church in the
It's
barangay.
very easy because, for example, if you have a barangay, let's say in Marikina, beside the Marikina River, and instead of having a policy wherein you bring the households higher, instead of doing that, they just put an alarm system. Like you mentioned, what is the best way to solve a life-threatening concern of this is where you bring it.
Yes.
Instead of going to congressman of that na gagawa pa ng batas, go to the barangay because they have money. No? And if the barangay official knows that the people who are coming to him are doing this with the next elections in mind, dadalhin niya yan doon sa mataas, sa mayor o sa nakaano niya. Sir, ito yung kailangan nila. Pag hindi ko to binigay, what will happen? In our re-election or whatever. This is a electoral issue. So what I'm saying is, again, as a lawyer, we have to assist itong clients, to bring out the issues and raise the bar so that, because in the end, unless it's talagang ma-prove na ang PICOS pala ang nag-determine ng mga panalo, okay, let's put that aside. But the point is, no one should win and sit in that congressional seat or in the mayor's office if we don't choose them. So bakit naman natin pipiliin yung hindi nagsilbi?
So may relationship yan. Pero maraming hindi nagsisilbi. Maraming mga mayor na they run for mayor and councilor and they live 200 kilometers away. Maraming ganyan Maraming congressmen doon tatakbo. I mean, let's look at Estrada. Do you really think that he lives in Manila? Come on, he still lives in Polk Street. Diba? It's obvious. It's so glaring and yet we still allow it to be. So, what's next for pro-life? What are you going to be doing?
Okay.
You mentioned earlier.
Okay. The answer to that is, what are we facing?
Okay.
Our problem now is that the people who we do not want in power, in leadership, use the structures of government to pass laws that will hurt or that will be a disadvantage to the authentic issues that plague our country. And you said it, corruption, poverty, okay. So what do? We have to engage the offices, the agencies, the governments, the boards, the courts, wherever these people are. Now, it just so happened that when ang pro-life came in, it was election time. The RH law was passed a few months before. Okay. And now we have 3 years, 2016, 6 years, 2019. So what I'm saying, along the way, we're getting into as much of the we will engage government in all fronts, no, as much as we can. Of course, according to law, it's short of going to the streets, but that's not our forte, no. And to give you a concrete example, the RH law. Now we're preparing for the oral arguments. And what happens after that, whether the court will decide yes or no, we go engage the agencies. DOH, FDA, we will see you do your job, because if an abortifacient or a contraceptive that will kill our mothers, you will give a certification to, we will bring you to court. And name it, for as long as there is a law applicable, we will engage, and hopefully,
That's good. So in
hopefully
other words,
we raise the mindset of the people. And media should help us, because every time we do something, we will even test media, because if they don't catch a story that is true and noble, well, what can we do?
do you still believe there is public opinion in this country? I've always projected on TV that there is no longer public opinion. Public opinion is what we in TV say. And since it's a one-way street, hindi naman interactive to we say this, and the media says the truth, supposedly truth or fallacies, and then it's endorsed by surveys. We make sure that the corrupted surveys say the same things, and then later on we even give awards to the TV station or the media station because of its truth and because of its advocacy for doing good, when in reality it creates public opinion. It does not find out what it is and hear it out. You know, it does not voice it out. It does not echo it or be the speaker of the people, but actually is the power. It's the transformer that drives what public opinion is all about. They're the ones who promoted, for example, I mean, you've heard all the arguments of the senators in the last elections. Media is the only way that can reach talaga the grassroots level. And so those who have a lot of money used media to promote themselves. I mean, we saw very many non-competent, well, they may prove themselves in office, I'd like to see, but we already know, based on the past, wala namang kompetensya. And they have won and sat in national offices, no less the Senate and all the way up. Di ba? Walang kompetensya, but they're there because they got voted because of recall, which is generated again by media. Do you think media has a big role in this, all of this, or do you think media can corrupt? Tayo, media's helped AKP in this last election. Yeah. They put up the forums, and finally we heard our 3 senatorials, which I thought they did well. The problem is the media also promoted so many others, and those who had more money got more promoted. Di ba? Parang ganun eh. Do you think that helps? Attorney Mbong is saying malaking tulong ang media at kailangan ng media. And yet media is also the problem. How do you find media in these last elections?
Well, if you are referring to public opinion or developing a public opinion, I would say that media has a very significant role in this. No? But the fact remains that media, particularly the 2 biggest
7 and 2.
Channel 7 and 2, have relationships somehow, no, with the powers that be, no, and there is no one in any of these 2 stations who can speak against, no, certain policies of the government, but rather what they try to do is to be, they just try to be objective, no, on the issue of gun control, for instance, no. Media is not going to take a position against permits to carry, in spite of the fact that many journalists are being killed. No, media is not going to criticize the recent law on gun control that was passed, no, that provides for 5 types of licenses. No, type 1 being not more than 2 guns. Type 2 license, not more than 5 guns. Type 3 license, not more than 10 guns. Type 4 license, not more than 15 guns. And type 5
Dynasty.
Type 5
guns.
license, more than 15 guns. So it's open-ended.
Open-ended.
So is anybody in media going to criticize that legislation? No. But they will just report, no, and be objective about it.
Or
So-
Channel 2, how can they go against Pinoy when the mother gave them back Channel 2?
Exactly.
Hindi pwede lumaban eh.
Exactly.
Kumeto ka na, sakyan mo na lang kung ano sabihin ni Pinoy, okay yan.
Correct.
Di ba? Ganun na lang.
So that is the situation that
So,
we have.
who drives who? Is there really even public opinion? Isn't Channel 2 and 7 and 5 saying what public opinion is, and then they, from there, to the line, they play it?
For me, the best medium we can utilize to promote public opinion is that our law on people's initiative to legislate.
That went dead, as you well know.
But we would like to revive that between now and
But it's
2016.
not possible. Legally, it's a nightmare. I mean, 2% of every, no, 5% of every legislative district, that's just not physically possible. You can't do it. You'll never make it. It's like saying, Congressman, vote and pass the law on dynasty. Silang dynasty.
Yes.
They'll never pass it. Gentlemen, the leaders, the senators, even in the executive group, okay, pass the law to stop corruption. Silang corrupt, hindi naman yung pobre ang corrupt. You cannot steal money anymore. You cannot get the money that you spent on this election. They're not going to do it. How about the church? Let's talk about the church. Can we force the church, nudge the church, if even, to take a more progressive stand? You know, to say, hey, tama na, ganito dapat.
They already did, at least on the issue of political dynasty. No? And very clearly...
Then bakit binoto ng taong bayan? Di ba we are, ilan lang ba Muslim sa bayan natin? 6%?
Yes.
6 lang eh. Now, of course, between the 96%, that's broken up into the Brother Mikes, the Brother Eddies, and then the INC. But I always thought the Catholic Church would still be the most major, most dominant, di ba, church, I would think. But why didn't the church, why couldn't they translate that into the votes? Why hindi sila sinundan ng mga parokya, hindi sila sinundan ng mga taong bayan? I see them in mass every week.
Again, it's a question of reach, no? The DNE. The DNE
So, hindi
voters
nagsisimba yung
comprising
DNE?
85% of
So,
our
hindi
voters.
nagsisimba yung DNE?
Hardly, I guess. I think.
Do you agree with that? Ibig sabihin, ang poor, hindi sumisimba. But I thought they were the ones who were always pupunta sa simbahan because when you have nothing, I mean, you know, religion is what you require when you have nothing else. Faith is what you require.
Well, I don't know, Harry, about the DNE, but in terms of devotion, we know no one from Alabang or Makati joins the processions in Quiapo. You know, it's so
No,
the
in their
devotion
Mercedes-Benzes and
probably
bodyguards
in the side.
and their red plates because they have friends in government.
With regard to devotion, there's no doubt. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is, if we, for example, just give an example. No, my 3-year-old daughter, we had a hard time convincing her to brush her teeth every night. No, at first we encourage her because daddy does it.
Of course.
Okay.
Lead
Later
example.
on, napaliwanag na natin, look at your tooth, it's getting black. Naintindihan niya. To the point na, Daddy, I want to brush my teeth. Dito, we have no doubt, our priests, they preach at the pulpit well. No? But for me who's sitting there to understand, what does it mean when on this doctrine with regard to sexuality or moral upbringing, how does it translate to the program of this candidate who is running, who is going to pass RH ordinance? Yung connection na yon, no? Pag hindi na follow up, no? Hindi naman nagkamali yung pare o yung obispo, hindi eh. Ang kailangan doon yung, I don't know, ito na yung question, how do we follow up on that connection on if and then, parang mathematics.
May disconnect, in
may
other
disconnect
words.
pa.
May disconnect.
Kasi mabuting tao yung mga lumalabas sa simbahan, nagbibigay. They're members of church-based organizations, no? Pero pagdating ng electoral political exercises like the election, at hindi tayo kapatiran, hindi nagkulang na ilabas yung issues na yan, diretsuhan. Masisira ang pamilya niyo pag ganito, RH law, and everything else, all the issues that the programs that they have in their passport. Pero bakit may disconnect? Again, discounting the PCOS issue, which is still an issue now, no? bakit binoto pa rin yung mga makakasira sa bagay na bumubuhay sa atin, pamilya, you know what I mean,
Correct.
the death
Correct.
deals. So it is a disconnect. Fortunately, like us, you know, maybe we read the Catechism of the Catholic Church, we listen to podcasts about lectures and sermons, we read books that are expensive but have to deal with faith. We understand, but yun na nga, how do we communicate it to your, let's say, your kasambahay, magsimba ka ha, paglinggo, sige mag-leave ka, ito napapasok yung, tayo na ito eh. We have to do our part in our small ways. And most especially if you are in a position, you have 500 employees, you're an owner of a, my gosh, it's so easy. You have a seminar, all expense paid, and you invite a speaker who will talk about these things. What I'm saying is, let's look back to ourselves. Because the church can only do so much. It will not intrude in our personal lives in a way that only a parent, a father, an employer, a board member, a chairman, a president can do. So what I'm saying is, in all these aspects of our lives, no, we live our faith and we see where we can enter into, just for example lang ho, no? Minsan bumisita ako sa Marikina at sa gutom ko, madalas kasi ako kumain ng mga isaw-isaw nung nagko-commute pa ako nun. Huminto ako doon para lang to feel, kasi I go home in Pampanga. Ma-feel ko lang, ma-reminiscent. Meron doon sa nagtitinda ng isawan, ano? Meron siyang sticker ng Noto RH. No? This was prior to the elections. Yun pa lang eh. No? Yun lang ang kaya niyang gawin. Hindi naman siya magpiprint ng mga ano. So my point is, that's the challenge. Ano? Yes, the church may have failed, but remember, what is the church? Hindi lang si Father, no? It's me. It's
We're at the top of the hour, and 1 hour is just so fast. A quick exit message. Norman Cabrera, Secretary General, ang Kapatiran Party. A quick message to our viewer.
Well, you spoke of a disconnect, no? And to bridge that disconnect, it is very important that for political education led by the church to be undertaken. And this has been the prescription of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. The need for a catechesis on politics, the need for Christian education in politics, in season and out of season. And this is very important to bridge that disconnect, faith and political life. No? How we translate, how we interpret the kind of legislation being passed, the kind of legislation we should pass as against our faith. This is very important.
10-second message.
Okay? Let's do our duty as citizens. Make use of what we know, where we are, what we have. Magreklamo ka, magmasid, makinig sa radyo, sa barangay office nyo. Be involved because in the end, lalabas kung ano yung tunay na kailangan ninyo dun sa lugar ninyo. Yun dapat ang idemanda nyo sa gobyerno.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed our program. Ako, very 2-second ending would be, kung Katoliko ka, if you're Catholic, my gosh, act one. Don't be a poser, ang tawag nga sa mga bata. Alam mo, Katoliko ka, panindigan mo, ilabas mo. Maraming salamat po. I hope you've enjoyed our program. My name's Harry Tambuatco. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The You are what you watch.